Alright, this art project is going to be a paper weaving. You're going to be using two different pieces of paper. One can be a white piece of paper, the other can be a different color of construction paper. If you don't have construction paper, you can just use two pieces of white paper, but it probably will be helpful if you do some coloring on one of the pieces so it's not just white. So quick color on it so you can get some nice color. That way they don't look exactly the same. So when we are done, it's going to look something like this. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is make what is called the warp. So I'm going to take my colored piece of paper and fold it in half. So I'm going to take one side and fold it over, trying to match up the edges as best I can. Then I can flatten out the fold. And now I have a folded in half piece of paper, kind of like a book. All right, the next thing you need to do is draw a little guideline on one side. So I'm gonna draw my line up here. I'm gonna kind of use my fingers to help me measure. I'm gonna place two fingers at the top of my piece of paper, and at the bottom of my finger is where I'm gonna start my line. The important thing is that this line is on the top part of your folded in half paper that you can open up, not on the part that's folded. So this is my folded crease. I want my line to be up here closer to the open side. So I've got my two fingers starting at the top of my open side, and I'm gonna kind of measure right there. That's where I want my line. So now I'm just gonna draw a straight line all the way across. If you're not great at drawing straight lines, you could even use the edge of your other piece of paper, sort of like a ruler, to make it so it's nice and straight all the way across. So now I've got my line all the way across the top. Remember, it's on the top side where you can open it, not the folded crease. All right, now what I can do is grab some scissors. We're gonna do some cutting. So another important step right here, I need to make sure that I'm starting to cut at my folded crease. So our line is up here where you can open it. Now we're gonna cut down here where it's folded. This is the folded side that we can't open. Now again, I'm gonna use my two fingers to kind of eyeball where I wanna cut. So I want it to be about 2 fingers wide, and I'm gonna cut starting from the folded side all the way, and I'm gonna stop right at that line that I just drew. So this line is telling me to stop. Now I need to do the same thing all the way across. So I'm gonna go about 2 fingers away and cut as straight as I can all the way up to my drawn line and stop right there, all the way across. So again, about 2 fingers and cut as straight as I can to that line, and I'll just keep going. All right, now I don't really have room to do one more, so I'm gonna leave it right there. So now I can open up my paper and it should look something like this. So this is our warp. Now we need the other part of our weaving, and that is the weft. So that's where I'm gonna take my other piece of paper. I'm gonna kind of line it up with my other one so it matches. I've got my long side, short side, long side, short side. Now all I need to do with my weft is cut it into smaller strips of paper, about 2 fingers width again. So I'm just gonna cut strips about 2 fingers all the way down, as straight as I can. All right, now I've cut my whole piece of paper and I have lots of strips to use, and this is gonna be what I use for my weft. So I'm gonna make a nice little pile, set it aside. Now I can start doing the weaving. So you'll notice that you can kind of pick up each piece of your warp, and that's gonna help you. You're gonna be doing this as you weave your weft through there. And weaving is pattern of over, under, over, under. So I need to take my weft strip of paper and I'm going to be pulling it through over, under, over, under, over, under, all the way through my warp. So you can start whichever one you want. You could start under, you could start over. I'm going to start over this time. So I'm going to start going over this first strip right here. And now, since I went over that one, I need to go under. So I'm gonna tuck my weft piece under, and now I'm coming up to this third one right here. I need to go over. So I'm gonna slide it over. Now I need to go under again. So I'm gonna slide it under, and next is over. After I go over, I have to go under. I'm gonna slide it under, and last one, I need to go over. Sometimes it's a little tricky to pull it through. There we go. So now you'll notice it's kind of like a checkerboard or a pattern of white, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white. So it should be every other every time. So if you want to check to make sure you did it right, you should have opposite colors going every other. So I see white, blue, white, blue, white, blue, white. Now we're ready to do the next row. So I'm going to take another weft piece of white paper. Now I need to take a look at the one I just did. That one I started over, so I should see blue here. So now I need to start under. And when I go under, then I need to go over. And then I need to go under. Tuck it under. Now I went under, so now I need to go over. So what I like to do is just in my head as I say under, over, under, over, and you just start repeating that over and over again. So it gets to be very repetitive. You're doing lots of the same thing. So now it really is starting to look like a checkerboard. I've got opposites going on. I see white next to blue, blue next to white, white, blue, blue, white, white, blue, blue, white, white, blue. So you probably already guessed it. Next we got to do another row, doing it the opposite. So I went under here, so now I need to go over so I can see the white, and I'm just gonna keep going over, under, all the way through. So I'm gonna kind of speed up. Don't worry if you can't go this fast. I weave a lot. So take your time. It's really difficult the first time you try it. So it's okay if you're slower than me. I do this a lot, so I have a lot of practice. All right, so now I'm coming towards the end, and it looks like I don't have very much space over here for one of my strips. So what I'm gonna try to do is kind of smush and slide all of my paper down. So I'm using my fingernail to kind of shove it over so they're nice and tight next to each other. And that might give me a little more room. So now I have a little more room, but still not quite enough. So I'm going to cut my piece of paper to be a little smaller so I can weave a last little bit through there. Oop. You'll notice I did it wrong. See how it's the same? That's not right. I gotta do it the opposite. So even I make mistakes. It's getting tight. Gotta just kind of squeeze it through there. There we go. All right. So now I have all my pieces woven through there. What I can do now is glue all of my ends down. So you'll see that the ends stick up and we don't want those to come loose and fall out. So I'm gonna go and glue each piece or each end piece down. That way it doesn't fall apart and they stay in there. If you have some pieces that are kind of sticking out at the edge, you can always cut those off. I'm even going to do it on the other side. So I'm going to flip it over and glue down the pieces on the end, on the back as well. All right, now I have some ends kind of sticking off the edge, so I'm gonna go with my scissors and cut those. So my edges are nice and even. There we go. All right. Now, the other thing you can do to make it look a little more like a really cool weaving is to cut some fringe on the edge. So I'm going to cut on both ends, just some really tiny slits, really close together to make it fringy and look a little bit more like maybe a fabric a rug or a placemat, tablecloth. Careful not to get too close to your fingers. That would not be good. And there we go. Now, you would also do that on this side. I'm gonna skip that side for now, just so the video doesn't get super, super long, but you would do the same thing on the other side. The last part is to decorate your woven paper. So you can use whatever you want, crayons, markers, colored pencils, to add some designs to your woven paper. You can draw little images, different patterns. It's up to you. Get creative, make it look really unique and different. Think about the different types of weavings we looked at from different cultures. There are a lot of different types of weaving, lots of really cool designs. So make your own, have fun with it. Once yours is complete, make sure you go on to Google Classroom to take a picture of it so I can take a look at your amazing paper weavings. Have fun.